During this video, we're gonna see one of the most secret agents that we have in the history of the time, I guess. This secret spy the United States had around the Watergate scandal was the doom of Richard Nixon. Why? Because he leaked a bunch of information about how the Richard Nixon party was founding the incursion inside the Watergate hotel. But during the years, it took like 33 years to know who was this guy, and I gotta tell you, he was a really big subdirector of one of the biggest agencies in the world. And I'm not talking about the KGB, but if you want to know who was this guy, you need to stay long enough and why he was making all this mess. As always, we're gonna start from the beginning. 1972. Yes, Richard Nixon was re-elected for being president of the United States. I think one of the best stuff to make in the life. I don't know, depends on the place. But Richard Nixon was having a little bit of issues around a few problems that he was having. Here we have one problem with the Pentagon leaks. The Pentagon. And we can say the first biggest scandal of the government of Richard Nixon that proved that some of the presidents, even Kennedy, they were lying about the Vietnam War. We need to understand a little bit about the context of that time. They weren't prepared for a president lying to the people. It's funny because in war, the first person to be unalive is actually the truth. After the Pentagon leaks, he had a few issues because Daniel Ellsberg was the really main leaker of the scandal. It was something like a general, a military man. America, oh yeah. He was receiving charges like 100 years in prison. It was really, his house was taken by the same shady guys that we have from the Watergate hotel scandal. It's something, we have another video from the Watergate hotel. It will be nice if you go and watch it before this one because this is like Watergate part 2. The psychiatrists didn't like it because it wasn't simply intrusion. They destroy stuff. They throw, the cat. The cat survived, doesn't matter. Ellsberg was in this trial and he was losing, of course, because leaking internal document of the Pentagon, I don't know. His psychiatrist went as a witness and said, yes, I had an intrusion in my working place and my office. The case was dismissed because they weren't constitutional legacy or whatever, because it was obvious that the government was putting pressure in this kind of stuff. The Watergate scandal was a disaster, was on flames. Why? And this is the part of our beloved Deepthroat. In this moment, we already talked about the sub-director of the FBI. Yes, that guy. He was waiting to be the director of the FBI after the death of J. Ed Hoover, one of the creator of the FBI. It happened this kind of stuff, and Nixon ordered to make this Watergate intrusion that we already talked. When those guys, the shady guys, were arrested, 4 of them, they say, yes, we work for Nixon, and 1 say, no, I don't work for Nixon. I'm a real patriot, stealing stuff from the Democratic Party. You need to understand the place of the police in this moment. You have 5 shady guys saying, yes, I was stealing because I work for Nixon. It is not a really good defense. You say, yeah, sure, you work for Nixon and I work for Napoleon Bonaparte, okay? Nobody's going to believe you. But some guys, they believe them. Which guys? Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein. These 2 guys, these 2 persons, these 2 patriots of the war, were working as a journalist for the Washington Post, and they were researching this kind of stuff about the Watergate hotel. That was already a little bit funny. Mark Felt, the subdirector of the FBI, was friend of Woodward. And in that time, when the new director appeared, a director that was placed by Richard Nixon, Louis Patrick Gray, he was a friend of him, or maybe they were playing League of Legends together. The FBI started to receive a bunch of pressure from the White House. You don't need to research on this one. This is not so important. It's fine. But the president is the president. It's so beautiful and sexy. This kind of corruption, because we can say there is a corruption, to our friend Mark Felt didn't like it. And also he wanted to be director. So they put someone, Louis Patrick Gray, to apply corruption inside a system that should be independent from the White House. He said, you know what? I ain't gonna leak information. That's how this country works. We have 3 kind of spies. We have Daniel Ellsberg that leaked like, I don't know, 7,000 pages of document. Then you have the shady guys, and then you have Deepthroat. And the first first two people they were arrested. Mark Felt, aka Deepthroat, he started to filter not documents, because most of the people imagine it's shady guys say, you know what, I have this document that proves that Nixon was part of this plot. He started to lead the research in certain ways. There is a phrase from Deepthroat that says, follow the money. Why follow the money? Those shady guys, they're having some money in their pockets, and that money, they were part of the same lot of money. The numbers of the bills, they're one after the other, 2, 3, 5. So it means that money was related. That's suspicious, at least suspicious. Why? Because if you have money, you don't have the same numbers between friends. You have money because you have money. I don't have any money. These people, they already started wrong. They have the same bucket of money coming from the same lot with similar numbers. This Deepthroat said, why don't you follow the money from which bank was emitted or from which bank account was taken off? They were able to research that the bank account that was giving that money was the bank account, give me a sec, of the Republic Party. That people contribute to the Republic Party to have money to, I don't know, print stuff and whatever. These people were using this money to make instruction in the people's houses. It was completely related with three guys, Haldeman, Ehrlichman, and Sean Mitchell. These three guys were taken to the justice and they received between 18 and 19 months on prison. That was not so tough. The connection between the money and the Republic Party was direct because that money was coming from that stuff. And I need to emphasize this kind of spying from our beloved Deepthroat. He wasn't exposing himself. He just say, just check the numbers of the bills that they found on the shady guys, and that's it. He never pointed a document. This document says that if you do that, you're going to be completely exposed. Why? Because inside the FBI, you can track which one was the guy that was leaking those documents. Follow the money. Which bank created that money? It was completely elegant and anonymous and critical because that lead was the complete connection to our beloved Richard Nixon. Oh my God, it sounds nice. The end of this story. Richard Nixon resigned around, I think, 1972 or 3. It doesn't matter. In the middle of the scandal, these psychiatrists that say, yeah, some shady guys getting into my house and they made a mess, was also connected with Richard Nixon again, because those shady guys were the same shady guys of the Watergate hotel. You know what? I don't want to be president anymore. People in here, they don't appreciate me. The vice president took the position of president and he said, you know, Richard Nixon, you're going to be exonerated because I signed it in here. And Richard Nixon was exonerated from not even going to jail. They could have between 18 months and 21 years in jail. Also, wasn't able to receive another trial in the future. Not even a trial that someone say, you know, I feel like that's something that is out of this place. No, because the president could say, this guy is completely innocent. Come on, George Ford. Come on, George Ford. Everybody knows about the Watergate scandal. George Ford, I love you. After 33 years of this amazing and beautiful scandal that changed the image of the people around the government of the United States, after that, people started not to trust in the government. Good for you. A little bit late, I must say. Deepthroat decided to confess into the public, into one magazine. I thought that he's going to be using the Washington Post. Why not? With his lawyer, he went to the Vanity Fair magazine and he said, I am the guy they called Deepthroat. And OMG. That was made on 2005. He didn't receive any pressure. His family started to say, you need to say the truth. It didn't exist Twitter in that time. 2005. Oh my God, it was yesterday for me, at least for me, not for you. And the end of this story finishes right here and right now. There's a bunch of people saying, we're never going to know who was the Deepthroat. And I think it was the most biggest secret maintained for years. And that was really remarkable because it was never discovered. Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein, the two journalists, they never talk about who was this guy. Good for you. That's a really friend. That's not a snitcher. I like these people. Deepthroat, also known as Mark Felt, the subdirector of the FBI, passed away 3 years after the confession at the age of 94, I guess. I don't know if he was reached to his birthday. Yes, I changed my beer. And you say nothing. Ladies and gentlemen, please like, comment, subscribe, do all the things that YouTubers like to do. And you were involved with Find It Out.